Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Kolb-Williams. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Independent Venue Alliance, or MNIVA as we affectionately call it. And welcome to our State of Live survey info webinar. We're going to talk about the survey itself, and we're going to get all the information and get your questions answered as far as what's going on. And I know I've talked about this a lot, but how important and how vital this work is to continue our advocacy efforts here in Minnesota and nationwide. We're very fortunate to have Kendall Gilvar and Sean Watterson joining us, both from NIVA National. If they want to introduce themselves, I'll let them do that at this time. If there's anything they want to say, otherwise, I know they've done a couple of these sessions before too. So if there's questions and things that I think are high points that they want to hit on, we'll definitely do so. But Sean or Kendall, if either of you wants to go first and kind of give us an overview of what's going on. Kendall, I see that Sean sounds good. Thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, hi everyone. I'm Kendall Gilvar. I am NIVA's Strategic Communications and Project Manager. Basically means I do a lot of comms and advocacy work, and I'm fortunate to help lead the State of Live project. If you haven't received an email about State of Live, I haven't done my job. If you received 5 and you're really annoyed, that means I have done my job. So hoping this group knows what State of Live is. Here to give a little bit more background, Sean can speak to the impact that this data has on a local and state level. Here to answer questions, here to help you help us get the word out, and just field any sort of questions that you all have. So thanks for organizing this. I think these have been really helpful in other states as well.
Yeah, and thanks, Kendall. Thanks, Jack. I'm Sean Watterson. I own a small 250 cap venue in Cleveland, Ohio called the Happy Dog. I also joined the board at NIVA this past year. Sort of my passion and focus has been this economic research effort. And the reason that is because of what the story the data will be able to tell us, and let us tell. So just in a nutshell, what are we doing and why are we doing it? So, on the what we're doing, this survey is intended to capture two things: the economic impact, which are the positive, hey, look at us, how much money we generate, how many jobs we represent in our community, in our state, in the US. And that's great. We need that positive data to show how important we are, just from an economic perspective, let alone how important we are to our communities. But then the other piece that this is capturing is economic conditions, and that's how we're all doing. And we probably know anecdotally we're struggling to break even, a lot of us, either side of breaking even, probably many of us. Having that data lets us tell a story, and that's what we need. And we really were looking to the UK Music Venue Trust, who's been got about a 10-year head start on NIVA in collecting this data, and they've been able to do incredible advocacy things with it. They've pushed for lots of support for grassroots music venues. That's their lingo. That just means small independent music venues. Even to the point of protecting some of the venues and purchasing some of the buildings. So it's inspirational what they're doing with their data. I can tell you they just released their data for last year, and it showed the average profit margin for small independent music venues in the UK was less than 0.5%, and that over 43% of venues in the UK last year actually lost money, which is a sobering statistic. It also showed how important, it showed the positive information on how many billions of pounds the UK independent live sector brought to the country, the number of performances, the number of people employed. So that's sort of what it is, why we're doing it. I guess the next question is, why should you fill it out? What's in your interest? And it's the work we're doing at the federal level as NIVA, the work Jack's doing in Minnesota with all of you, the work that's happening in your communities, whether that's Minneapolis or Duluth or St. Paul. I'm running out of Minnesota city names I'm real familiar with, but it's real, and the data helps tell the story.
Yeah, agreed. I think it might be helpful, I guess, to poll the room. Could you either raise your hand or virtually raise your hand if you can figure out how to do that, as to have you sat through a State of Live presentation before, or have you been briefed for longer than 10 minutes on this whole initiative? I know Dana, Jack, Tatiana, Tanner. Okay, but we do have some folks who haven't. So I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, Jack, a quick presentation. We'll try to keep it fun and light and quick. But I think that might sort of help explain a few more detailed questions that folks might have. Oh, wait, hold on. Did that work? Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Okay. Now let's see if I go into slideshow. You probably can't see my screen anymore, right? This has been happening recently. I don't know what's up with it. I'm going to try one more time.
Yeah, it just goes black, Kendall.
I know that's been happening. Okay. Well, sorry. Give me one more chance. And I will try again. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Share. Here we go. Okay, well, maybe we'll just go in this version, if that's okay with people.
That's great.
Okay, so Sean and I gave a quick debrief. We're calling this the State of Live because we're trying to tackle the state of independent stages. What is an independent stage? It's a venue. We're including promoters in this. We are including festivals. We're including nonprofits. We're including university presenters. We are including dance theaters, orchestras. We have spoken word groups that responded to the survey. Like, we're saying, if you have a stage and you have live entertainment on that stage, then you probably, and you're independent, you probably qualify to take this survey. The reason why we start with that is because we're trying to get a representative view in our survey. We want to represent not just one state, not just one side of the country or one type of stage. We're trying to make this representative so that the data can be used and applied to everyone. So that's that. Sean and myself do not have the capacity to run an entire data study. So NIVA has hired a firm called Teconomy. They actually are super well known in the economist field. They've worked with organizations that have run like the video game industry, that have done economic studies of the video game industry. They did a study with pharma talking about economic impact. So this is what they do for their full-time job. They're super passionate about it. Marty, who is our chief economist and a man that I email 17 million times a day, he is in a band. And I say that because, like, he has no professional stake in the data that he's receiving, but he has a lot of emotional stake in that, like, he gets it and he wants to see the sector, you know, rise up and represented in data. So they're an awesome partner. They have worked with members of our board. We've talked with other economic consulting projects in the past to make sure that our study, you know, spans the span that it needs to have. And we put a lot of work into making sure that this study can represent different parts of the sector. So that's Teconomy. About the study, Sean went over what we're trying to quantify. So we're trying to quantify economic contributions and challenges, as well as, you know, culture and how venues are doing. When I say venues, I mean like all stages, how they're doing year over year. The economic health, the economic success, what's going wrong, what's going right. So that's the study. We all know the value of data. I think what was so important, and this was before my time, but Save Our Stages was reliant partially, besides all the advocacy that many on this call engaged in, it was partially reliant on a study that said that for every $1 that was spent at a music venue, $8 of economic contribution was generated for that community. And that was a study that came out of Chicago. It was a Chicago Loop study. It was an awesome study, but it wasn't one that told the story of every community in every state across the country. And it's not sustainable to tell the whole story of our sector. However, when we brought that study, when I say we, when NIVA brought that study, people like Dana, I don't know if she's still in this call because I can't see, but that study held so much weight with legislators. It was like, yeah, we know, music is important, culture is important, going to live music, coming together is important, but like, not only is it fun, not only is it like good for the soul, it generates economic tax revenue. It creates jobs for you. Like, it gives you money back in your pocket as legislators. And like, we sort of feel like this study is trying to like speak their language and take a step towards what other groups, like the big dogs in this industry, or I don't know what restaurants groups do, or what oil and gas, literally any other industry has economic data to quantify themselves and to prove their value. So that's the overall goal of this. Like Sean said, we're going to generate stats like value, revenue, economic impact, job creation, visitor attendance, employment trends, basically profit, cost, loss, the important stuff, the stuff that, creates economic impact, and the stuff that captures economic health year over year. So those are the two things we're getting at with this study. I'm going to skip a slide and I'm going to go to research design. So in case we haven't laid it out properly, right now we are in the survey collection time. So the survey launched about almost a month ago on January 7th. It's closing on February 18th. So it's closing in like not that much time. So this survey will be filled out and is being filled out by stages all across the country. The data that comes from that survey will be used to create reports. Those reports will be one national report. So it's going to be one national report with like big stats, jobs created, total economic impact, total overall health, the big numbers. We're also going to use all that data as well as some existing industry, data like from SVOG to create 50 state one-pagers. So essentially Minnesota, if enough people fill out this study, if you fill it out and you get 5 other people that to fill it out, we will be able to have a comprehensive report that outlines all those factors just for Minnesota. So that's really cool, my opinion. You can take that to so many bodies to get work done. You can take it to legislative bodies. You can take it to tourism boards. You can take it to folks who are trying to take down an indie venue and you're trying to like fight for that indie venue. You can take it to the government office that's trying to establish a local like music office. There's so many use cases for this. From like a legislative perspective, and Sean can speak more to this, but there have been like alcohol tax cuts that have been dedicated and carved out just for indie venues and indie stages. There's so many use cases for this data. And those are the types of things that, can empower everybody on this call to advocate for themselves and not just rely on the general or the national numbers. So that is the crux of it. We need your help. If you're on this call, that means that you care at least a little bit enough about the survey to join a call, which hopefully means that you'll do this survey. And then also hopefully means that you'll get somebody else to do this survey. I checked on Monday, there were 2 people in Minnesota that filled out the report. Boo. No, there is so much more that needs to happen in this state and across the country in order to make this survey worthwhile. In order to make all these efforts worthwhile. This is not something that's going to be done every 6 months or every year. It's an expensive project. It's a project that we can probably only do every 3 years, meaning that there will not be a chance to gather this data for a bit. It's really, really important that this is something that happens now in the next week. So we have some cool designs that our guy Jason on our team helped us create. Please, if you have venue networks, if you have an Instagram that like you follow other owners and operators on, post this. We have dedicated emails on stateoflive.org to help tell other people about the survey. You can literally copy and paste that email, put it in your email chat, and send it to 5 people that you know. It's that easy. And yeah, so I guess just try to help us help you. We really value this data. We want it to be successful. And then just briefly, some frequently asked questions before we open it up to maybe group questions, if there's any. Again, this is for the owners, operators, and staff. So this is not for consumers or people who go see the concerts or the shows. This is for the people who are doing the work to put those shows on, including promoters. The survey takes about 35 minutes, which is long. We understand that most other surveys are like 5 minutes and you're done. This is a survey that requires you to have some documents in front of you. The list of the documents that you need in front of you, we have like a checklist on stateoflive.org, so that like if you gather everything you need and have those 5 things in front of you, you'll blow through this. It'll take like 20 minutes. You know, if you have to go back to your financial person or back to this person, like it's going to take a little longer. If you need to click out of the survey and revisit it another day because you can't dedicate the amount of time, that's fine. It'll save your results. So yeah, the State of Live prep checklist is on our site. The survey results will be debuted at NIVACon 25 in Milwaukee. Whoop, whoop. That I mentioned that because we also are giving a 20% off badge discount to every single person, every individual that fills out this survey. So you're automatically getting like money back if you are going to the conference yourself or sending someone from your conference. You'll get 20% off discount. We really are just doing that to try to incentivize people to take it. We want to, have people take it. The last thing I'll say is about confidentiality. And I'll go off camera because I don't have any more slides, but we understand that we're asking for some financial information that you might not normally hand over to a survey. I would encourage you to just read our commitment to confidentiality in depth on our site, stateoflive.org. As the project lead, I don't see any granular venue level data. So if you submit questions or financial information, I, as NIVA staff, do not see that. Stephen, our executive director, does not see that. Sean does not see that. The only person who sees venue specific financial information is Marty, our chief economist, who has no stake or interest in, the independent live sector or the details of your business. And they have signed a super comprehensive NDA with NIVA to protect that data. Like it's legally blinding. We are taking it super seriously. There's no opportunity for, data to be leaked or to go anywhere. The only data that we see is email, capacity, and name. The reason we see those things is because we need to contact you to show you the results of the survey. We need to send all the survey results to everyone. And if there's an error or a gap in the survey responses, Marty needs to, contact you to say like, hey, did you mean 200 when you put 20? So that is the general gist of it. We really just hope that you all will take the survey and help us get the word out for the survey. And would love to open it up for questions. We're an open book in terms of methodology, confidentiality. This is like a group effort that we've been working on for a couple of years, and we just want to see it succeed. So really any questions you have are open to answering.
I have a question.
Sure.
First, to be fair to Jack, he did tell us to wait till after this session to fill out the survey. So maybe that's why you haven't seen a huge influx of Minnesota surveys, but hopefully you get somewhere after this. So we're a multi-attraction venue.
Yes.
So are we giving you I don't know if I can like pull out the stuff, the revenue and expenses that come directly from our stage, so to speak. So
Right.
How are you dealing with that data?
Sure. So actually on the State of Live site and before you go into the survey, there's specific instructions for multi-venue organizations, but I'll just tell it to you now. You either have 2 options. You can report each venue and divvy up each venue's corresponding information per survey, or you can submit as at an organizational level, and there's an opportunity in the survey for you to list and name the capacities and name of each venue that's operating under your umbrella organization. So you can do it either way, as long as in that spot where it says like, please list your venue names and capacities, you list all of those. It will then like tell our economists that all of the answers after apply to you as an umbrella organization, not just one venue.
I probably didn't specify that question very well. We don't have multiple venues. We have other attractions within our venue besides live music. So we have bowling, we have volleyball, restaurant. So when we're filling out the survey, I'm wondering if I don't know how granular I can get as far as like the venue operations as a self-sustaining entity, or how the survey handles a situation like that.
I see. Okay. So I should say to the group, we're not looking for exact to the dollar amount responses. You can estimate what percentage of your business is made up by that live entertainment. We are trying to focus on live entertainment versus like live events or live sports. So if you say, this is just an example, say that makes up like 30% of your ticket sales or 30% of your overall costs, you can just take 30% of each stat. Also, I will say, like, this is a specific instance where I might email Marty like right after this call and have him advise you on just filling it out. But Sean, you also worked just on our survey collection if you have specific advice for Chris. Oh, you're muted.
At Happy Dog, we're open 7 days a week. We don't have music every day that we're open. We don't open only before the show is done. I'm reporting our full numbers as a business that's in the business of being a venue. And if, I can make that work because of the other things I do. So I'm not going through my numbers and saying, I'm only going to look at the data from the nights that we have shows separate from the other data. So I would say, don't overcomplicate it. If you've got your venue numbers, if you got your business numbers, and being a venue is a big part of what you do, whether it's music or comedy or anything like it, fill it out as the business. Yeah.
That's actually good guidance too. And there's a specific question where you can say which day, like how many average days a week you have live music. And Marty's algorithm will, like, they have all their, I'm not a math person, clearly. They have all their, computations on that end to correct for if you put live music only one night a week versus somebody who puts live music 7 nights a week. So I would say look through the survey. You can actually click through the questions once you put in your name, your email, and your capacity. So if I were you, Chris, I would like click through the survey and maybe write down which specific questions you're confused about or which specific questions you don't think you could answer. And then just email me and I can ask Marty. But like Sean said, you're also welcome to just generalize if putting on music and live entertainment is a big part of your business and that's what attracts people to bowl and to do other stuff, like that's the whole economic impact. That's the whole gist of it, right? Is that like, this is an economic indicator. So yeah, I mean, we're pulling a large number of people. So there's a lot in this industry. There's so much, variety. So we're hoping that if enough people do like generalizations or round up, by $100 in certain things, it's not going to make a large difference in terms overall results.
Thank you.
I have a question. It's probably more for Sean, because this is something that I'm getting to, Sean, from folks in Minneapolis that have recently participated in the Sound Music Cities census that we did a couple months ago. So I have had a few groups ask, I'll be like, well, we did that survey. What's the difference between this one? So I know Cleveland went through a similar thing. So if you could speak to that, that'd be really, really helpful for our Minneapolis members.
Yeah, and glad you did the Sound Music Cities survey. It's what I tell folks is this venue survey is focused on the venues. The Sound Music City was focused on the entire music ecosystem. We have specific goals from an advocacy perspective in the state of Ohio. So what we've used the Sound Music Cities music census to do is get our county executive to commit to creating a music commission that will help all aspects of the local music ecosystem, the musicians themselves, the studios, the manufacturers, and the venues. That's that piece. The venue survey is helping us with a state level initiative where we're looking to do what Texas and Tennessee have done, which is create a live music fund using liquor taxes to allow live music venues to get a liquor tax rebate annually of up to $100,000 just by virtue of being a live music venue, live music or comedy. So the data is necessary for different things. This is really focused on how can we help venues, and there are specific goals there, whether it's creating a live music fund at the state level, whether it's pushing for sound ordinance legislation or things around parking, especially for performers having space to load in and load out without paying. All of these venue specific issues that you have that you hope to resolve either with your city government or county government or at the state level. That's what this survey is going to help NIVA and MNIVA make happen.
Also, just to add on top of that, there's just like not very much overlap in questions asked. It's just like I actually looked at both a couple of Sound Music City reports as well as like other AAP6 or just like other economic reports that are out there. There is very little overlap. As Sean has said, this is really specific. For example, there's a question that's like, choose your top 5 your business's top 5 struggles of this past year. And we like took it to a focus group and said, like, what are all the struggles you've been facing this past year? Like from, unfunded mandates to ticketing to everything that we could possibly think of, and put it in a list. That's because like, we're trying to use this information to help, like Sean said, specifically independent stages and independent venues. We're trying to gauge the health of the industry rather than just economic impact. So we're doing like culture plus data from a storytelling perspective.
So I have a question. I don't have a venue per se. I'm, basically a promoter and go to lots of different venues. Do you want us to participate or?
Yes.
Yes, still? Okay. And,
Yep.
And is there anything different that we should consider as part of that, or the question's pretty self-explanatory?
So the way that we set it up in the back end, there's sort of different paths that the survey will take based off of whether you're an operator of a festival, whether you're a promoter, whether you're a venue owner. So it should pretty much guide you as soon as you say you're a promoter. The one question is that's required is capacity. For that, I would say take a general like average of the venues that you promote in and put their capacity, because that is based off of like the levels of capacity that we are owning and operating as an industry. So it'll guide you through. Something I'd like to just tell to this group is that if there's a question throughout the survey that you feel like you cannot answer for one reason or another, it shouldn't happen, but if it does, you do not have to answer that question. Not every question is required. We are doing that because more data will help us tell our story, but we understand that certain people, no matter how many times we discuss our confidentiality statement, are not comfortable, displaying financial information or tickets sold. We understand that, and we still want their data. We still want examples of creative shows they put on with the community. We still want that, beverage and alcohol information. So please don't let that be a deterrent to fill out 3 of the 30 questions. Please help us tell a comprehensive story. But if people say I'm not taking that, it's too long, or I'm not taking that, I don't want to give my finances over, there is an option to fill out what you can. We say that because we just have gotten a lot of people saying that they're not comfortable with certain things or certain aspects of it. And we understand, but yeah, fill out what you can, tell others to fill out what they can. Eventually, if we all fill out 4/5 of it, it'll tell a pretty good picture. So.
Has anybody started the survey and are sort of midstream? And if so, do you have any questions based on how far you've gotten? Okay. I can tell you, I started it. I didn't have our financial information back from our accountant. I got that about a week later, and then I was able to go back in and finish the information. We're not asking people to submit tax returns or their income statements or anything else like that. We're just trying to get a picture based on your percentages, not your actual numbers. So that was something where I had to sort of pause in my response until I had that data in front of me. But having done it, it is something, if you've got your numbers in front of you, you can get done in 20 minutes to a half hour.
Is there anything? No, go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was going to say, if the ask here is, obviously, please take the survey, whether you're a venue or a promoter or a performing arts center, take it for your organization. And if you can get one of your peers to take it, just direct, hey, I took it. I think you should take it. That one-to-one outreach, that'll help Jack. Jack's hitting all of you up all the time, and maybe you're getting sick of hearing from Jack, and you're probably definitely hearing from Kendall a bunch. But it's really the one-to-one that is going to get us where we need to be. So Minnesota, to have a state level report that's really meaningful, you probably need at least 25 responses from the state. So, that's achievable. 25 is achievable. If you go back to shuttered venue operator grants, all that data is public. Just looking at Minnesota, the number of venue operators, promoters, and performing arts centers that got shuttered venue operator grants was 178 in Minnesota. So getting 25 people who got money, got shuttered venue operator grant money to participate, or even getting a few of the newer venues or the smaller venues that didn't get shuttered venue operator grant funds, goes a long way to getting a report that's going to be meaningful for Minnesota, a state level report.
I also think there are bragging rights if you get the most amount of responses in your state. Right now, Colorado is leading. We can't have Colorado leading this whole thing, guys. Like we gotta have some representation across the country. So we are giving an award to the NIVA chapter leader. They're gonna get an actual award, and I think Jack really wants that award. I think he, right behind him on his desk, I think he wants like a huge award. So just don't get in the way of Jack having his award. Help him.
Thanks, Kendall. Yeah, I'll just say, everyone, I'm gonna keep bugging you to get this done, because I can't stress enough. Kendall and Sean have to, of just how vital this information is for me to continue my work on behalf of you all. We need it. We need this data. Like there's no way around it. And we're so grateful that NIVA's done this initiative. As I've mentioned in our meetings and in our minutes and stuff, this moves our strategic plan ahead like almost 2 years for the organization, for us to have this information, to have all this data, to go to legislators, to advocate for ourselves at the state, because Minnesota brags about music so much in this state, and we really need legislators to step up and provide support for you all and relief for you all. So I can't thank Kendall and Sean enough, and really need you all to step up, and we got to get this done. So continue to expect to hear from me as we get closer to the 18th for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. I just want to say, My email is always open for survey questions. If I can't answer something, again, I'll ask Marty, our chief economist. If you have a question yourself or you hear a question from someone else that we haven't answered yet, please email us, reach out. Yeah, Johannes.
Yeah, I guess this is more of a question for Jack. And I'm sorry if it's a dumb question, but do we have members up in Duluth? And I grew up there, so that's why I ask. There's also a venue in Carlton that I'm looking to have fill out the Oldenburg House. But I'm going up there this weekend, so if you need any outreach done, I can help with that.
Yeah, I would say just get it out to as many people that you know. Like truly, like there's really no guardrails on that. Just get the word out as much as you can. The one of our really engaged members up there in Duluth though is Sacred Heart. All those folks up there. So that'd be really great. Thanks, Johannes.
Hey, Kendall.
Yep.
Those companies or venues who are concerned about sharing all this information and then we're kind of briefed on the NDA and all the privacy that you guys have, steps that you guys have taken to ensure things remain private. Have they decided to go ahead and fill out, or did they just skip those financial questions?
I think it's been a mix. I think it's based off of people's comfort level. I have pointed people to like sit and actually read our confidentiality statement on State of Live because like it's intense. Like we're deleting this information. We're deleting like organization level information after it's gone. We've had people after that point fill it out and say like, great, thanks. I'm going to skip one question and I'm going to fill out the rest. Certain people probably saw the email and said, I'm never doing that and like decided not to fill it out, which again is just not productive. But we also have just like convinced some people who hadn't seen our confidentiality statement and like how intense we're taking it. We have convinced some people to be like, okay, like that's great. Great to hear that you're doing that. Like I'm comfortable doing it. So it's been a mix. Again, I don't see specific venue level data. So I can't actually see who has, I don't have a list of the people who have and have not completed it. So I can't give like specific reports, but I think it's been a mix.
Yeah, and I would just follow it up. When Kendall says we will delete it, really, Techonomy are the only people that will see venue-specific answers. Nobody at NIVA will see anything, any of that data, and Techonomy will destroy all that data after they give us the aggregate reports. And Techonomy, first off, they're not in the industry. They're not in our industry. So that should lessen some, is my competitor going to see the information? The other thing is Techonomy is in the business of doing these surveys. And if they can't keep that stuff confidential, they're out of business. Their reputation depends on being able to keep that confidential, destroy the data, make sure nobody in the industry ever has access to anybody's individual responses. So, we knew it was going to be a concern. That's why we put so much attention to the fact that nobody at NIVA, nobody on the NIVA board, no chapter leader will ever see what you submitted. And that'll be destroyed so that nobody can stumble across at some point in the future.
One last question. Are you just looking for members to fill out the survey, or can anyone anyone?
Everyone. Yeah. So that's why, NIVA, we were made up of nonprofits, for-profits, but like we know we don't have our reach in every community. We don't have like a ton of university presenters, as many as we'd like, or theater groups, dance groups. So like that's why we sort of need you all to help us activate. Like if you know of any promoter, theater, nonprofit, for-profit, NIVA member or not, like please reach out and let them know about the survey. Again, they benefit from the results without even engaging in NIVA or paying dues at all. So I think it's only a plus for them. But yeah, everyone.
Sorry, go ahead, Kendall.
I was just going to say, like, to reiterate confidentiality, like in every meeting that we have and almost every day I get outreach from a person that's like, can you confirm that I filled out my survey? And I'm like, no, like I always CC Marty because he has that list. I don't have that list. So it's like not even on a casual basis is he like telling me the venue name of someone who who filled it out, and I don't need to know or want to know that. So we're like top to bottom, it's like our number one priority for this project.
I have a question.
Go for it.
I think I read this somewhere and I don't remember where it was, but this also includes like university stages.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
University presenters. So yeah, if it doesn't really matter how they fund themselves, essentially. If they fund themselves through university dollars, government dollars, private dollars, we don't care. If they're putting on independent live entertainment, they can fill it out. So yeah, good question. And we have NIVA members that are university presenters as well. It's good to, I see Lowell, it's good to meet you. We talked on the phone a lot during, you know, the SCOG, SVA conversations, but it's good to meet you sort of virtually. Oh, you might be muted.
Kendall, you provided such amazing assistance, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. I remember you came to the conference and I was like, oh my God, is he here? And I never got to meet you. So hopefully in Milwaukee, we'll get to meet each other.
Milwaukee, I'll be there.
Oh,
Great.
good to hear.
Um,
We'll fill that survey out, Lowell, and then get a discount on your badge.
yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
All right.
20% off is a decent chunk too. Just saying.
All right. Well, thanks for all the work you're doing on this. And Jack, Herculean.
We're trying. Thanks, Lowell.
You know that I suppose every state, I'm not sure how many people on the call are from Minneapolis. But you know, the gap between getting a rebate on liquor taxes in this city between, you know, where we are now and getting a rebate on liquor taxes, Minneapolis actually penalizes music venues now by adding in an additional liquor tax, an additional 3% onto our sales tax if we have live music and both food and liquor. I mean, it's just nuts. And I think it's almost left over. It's from the when live entertainment was considered, salacious, and it's sort of a sin tax. Okay, we're going to let burlesque, we're going to let strip bars be open, but we're going to penalize them. We're at least going to tax them more heavily. But it's pretty crazy that in Minneapolis, somebody can get a drink or something to eat across the street from a live music venue, walk over to the live music venue, and that same item is going to cost them, I think it's 3% more. So we just love them to get rid of that, let alone getting a rebate on the liquor tax. And I can't see that ever happening. I mean, I hope that this data can actually provide, and it would be great if the data provided statewide assistance for things.
Yeah, Lowell, I'm with you. It would be super interesting if the data could compile the sales tax rates in different regions, because we've been trying to tell our city and state, like, I'm pretty sure that Minneapolis has the highest sales tax of anywhere in the country. I mean, me and Lowell in downtown in the theaters, we're at 17.5%, I think. And so I don't know if Sean and Kendall, you guys can request that just to say, like, here's the different sales tax rates in different cities, states, etc. Because we've been trying to tell that story that, like, we're way overtaxed compared to everybody else, and like the city is definitely. I don't know. I think if we go asking for a rebate, I fear that they're going to try to tax us more.
Yeah, Dana, I think the sales tax question isn't built into the survey, but from what I understand, I think Minneapolis is one of the 10 cities that's getting a city-specific report. So being able to compare Minneapolis to the rest of the state may be helpful, or Minneapolis to the rest of the country. And then I would say, you know, within advocacy and policy, hitting up the state chapter leaders for that info. I can tell you, Ohio, in Cleveland, we're at 8% sales tax and 8% admissions tax. 17% would be devastating.
I think it is the highest. I remember at one point I spent like a couple hours trying to find one that was higher, and it wasn't. So I think you're right, Dana. But yeah, I mean that's something that's an easy thing that doesn't require surveying people. So I think that's something that either NIVA National could just like partner with this chapter on and investigating and just talking more specifically about that with legislators, even if it's not through this initiative. But I think hopefully with enough survey responses, you'll be able to make the argument for a lower sales tax through this other information. You're like, if you say like, look how many jobs we're creating, look how many, if the other supplemental data that will come from this will hopefully help that advocacy effort.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I have.
Well, thank you both again. Thanks everyone for being here. This is going to get shared. So I'm going to send this out to the city of Minneapolis. This is going to go out to their entire list. This is going to go to the Minnesota Citizens for the Arts, and their entire advocacy list is like 400 and some member groups that they work with, nonprofits. Also going to the regional arts councils in Minnesota. So we're just going to keep pushing this out, and this is going to be shared. So thank you all for being here and being a part of this this webinar.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.